Hi everyone, welcome to today's live. I'll be inviting our guest just in a moment, which is from the Koji Kitchen. Hi Robin, hey, so good to see your face and to see the sun where you are. Where are you now?
I'm in the lab in Edinburgh, where I reside and where I make the koji and all of the delightful weird things we're going to be discussing.
Amazing. Yeah, so today guys we have the pleasure of having Robin from the Koji Kitchen with us. He is obviously very excited about what he's doing, so he's going to take us around at the fermentation lab. He's going to talk all about how to make koji, benefits, and what you can do with it even at home. So before we get into the magic of koji, I know you have an interesting story that I've heard one-to-one. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. I'll give you a hot 10 years of history in 5 minutes. Let's freaking do it. Right. So many years ago, I originally studied chemistry and biology, and I was shit at it because it turns out when you're like a little kid and you're like, hey, I want to be a scientist. I want to unpick and pierce the veil of the universe. And then they're like, hey, brother, here's some industrial chemistry for you so you can work on an oil rig. You're like, this is not what I bargained for. This isn't fun. So I sacked that in before I finished my undergrad. And then I did a whole bunch of different jobs. I did animal vaccine modeling. I was the secretary at an optometrist. I managed the Victorian confectionery plant. I was a fudge maker. One of the best fudge makers in the UK. I was park ranger, bike mechanic, line cook, bar manager, all that stuff. Probably more as well. I launched a whiskey brand at one point and a hot sauce brand. That was fun. But did all that stuff and then found out about this master's degree, Master's of Science in Gastronomy at Queen Margaret University, just outside of Edinburgh. And this is a really weird course in the sense that it's an offshoot of the course at the the Institute of Gastronomic Technology in Bra in Italy, but it's at this weird like nursing and business college outside of Edinburgh. It's basically because of Prue Leith. So she's one of the representatives of that university. She really likes, she's kind of into food. So she sort of bankrolled this program, which is still on, and I recommend anyone who's interested in food systems get involved. So I found out about this. I applied. I pitched for it. They never asked if I had an undergraduate degree. I never told them. So I managed to get a master's degree with no undergraduate. Don't tell anyone. And then during that, I pitched them to send me to Japan to write my thesis on a philosophical comparison between Japanese whiskey and Scottish whiskey to see if there was any sort of fundamental differences in the production and the design of how whiskey's made there. Now, there are differences, but the main point is lol capitalism. Sell high, buy low. That's how it works. When I did my thesis presentation, that's kind of what I gave a half-hour presentation, then ended by saying, yeah, mainly it's just economic forces that control everything.
And you traveled a lot to Japan, didn't you?
What was that?
You traveled a lot to Japan during that period, didn't you?
Absolutely. Because as part of my research, I learned a lot about Japanese domestic alcohols, and so that's sake. Went to different sake breweries, learned about this, and this is when I first discovered koji. And basically, my first I'd never heard the term before. And when I came into a sake brewery and I got shown the koji mura or the Koji Room, and I was faced with but just trays and trays of moldy rice. And coming from a Western food dogma, when you see rice, that again, we're all told that if you leave rice alone, warm, in a humid environment for more than 10 minutes, you're going to die. Bacillus is going to kill you. But I spoke to the Toji, the head brewer there, and he explained to me how this specific microbe, aspergillus oryzae, it works with, it grows upon the rice as a substrate and makes a protective environment and competitively excludes any pathogenic bacteria. And then you can use this to make all of these different things, from mirin to soy sauce to shoyu to rice wine vinegar to shochu to sake. All of these different things all come from Koji. So came home, handed in my thesis, and I was like, this Koji thing, let's get obsessed with that. So kind of just been trying to learn everything I can about Koji since the end of 2020, basically, and now we're here in a lab where I'm playing around with microbes.
And that was the 5-minute story, guys, of Robin.
There you go.
Have you heard a more exciting story? Tell us. No, honestly, your life is such an adventure. Sounds so much fun. So you're in Scotland now. You're in Edinburgh. You said the lab is there, and you still make koji. So you've started your own lab. We would love to know what you make there, how you make it, and the products. I mean, koji essentially, and how it is made.
Yeah, I'll give you a little tour. I'll talk you through everything. But yeah, predominantly, I mean, what we got here. Right. So this is the main thing I make. This is what it looks like. It's just pouch. It looks like ostensibly pouchy little rice grains, because it is. This is dried koji, ready for use in whatever application you got. Also got, look at these. They're so sexy. Little miso making kit. You should buy thousands. You know, keep me busy.
And available now.
So these are the products I make, right? And I sell those across the UK, but it is more than that, because I do consultation and classes and workshops across the UK as well. Yep. So I do a lot of experimental work in the lab and make products, do product design, that kind of thing. So it kind of serves two functions in here. Well, it serves a lot of functions. I spend a lot of time in here, so it serves a lot of functions. It's my home, it's my kitchen, it's my secret.
Your working space, yeah.
But no, it serves as a production space for the mainline products that I sell, and it serves as a test kitchen essentially. But let's give you a tour, eh? Let's do that. Okay, so this is the lovely office. We can look at that. Oh, look at the sun. Look at all these fermentation texts. Oh my goodness.
And the foods. Yeah. Oh my god.
But yeah, that's office. I've got a little thing. Let's put you on a little thing, and then I can give you a little tour. Okay. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Oh, so this is the lab. So what we got here? Right. I don't know if the sun is too in your eyes, but what we got
No,
here.
you can see.
Perfect. So this is my Koji Mura. This is my Koji Room. What it is a repurposed bread proofer, basically. And this is an incubator that holds precise temperatures and humidities. The temperature and humidity is 30 degrees centigrade and 80% humidity. Now, let's have a look in, shall we? Oh,
of course.
So in here, what we got is trays and trays of koji. Now, this is at its middle stage. So this is middle of its growth phase. It's about 30 hours or so. But also, we're doing this sort of like Quentin Tarantino style. I'm telling you the middle of the koji making production, then I'll tell you the start. Oh, it's fun. Directorial. But essentially, it starts to grow into this sort of like thick mat of rice with mold on top of it. But what we do essentially is the first process is washing rice. So I've got this brilliant 1970s rice washer here. That's got a funny story actually. So originally it's made in Osaka. Then it got sent to Nigeria. Then I picked it up from a guy in London for 30 quid. Oh, what a deal. It's a steal. It's the steal of the century. So day one, you wash your rice and then you soak it for about 12 hours. I soak it in one of these big white buckets. Then after it's been soaked, first thing the next day is it goes into this big thing, which is an old school steam oven. Look at that. Oh, it's a big steam oven. Now, the reason we steam it, I'm just going to go back down because it's out of the sun. The reason we steam it rather than boil it is what you're trying to do is bring the rice to a thing called window pane texture. Can't remember the Japanese because I'm an idiot, but basically it means when you squeeze the rice and you can make it into a little ball and then you can stretch it, see through it like a window pane. Wow. But the reason you're going for that kind of texture is it provides the best substrate on which the aspergillus oryzae mold can grow. Because
Okay.
if it's too wet, you're creating a substrate that's better for bacterial infection. So that means you can get not pathogenic, but not ideal bacteria. If it's too dry, it can't take root. A lot of the things you have to think about when you're growing things like koji and also tempeh as well is that the food you're growing it on is kind of like the dirt that mushrooms would grow on. It's a substrate. You kind of view it like that. So anyway, once you've steamed it to this ideal consistency, then what you do is you cool it down. And then once it's cool, so normally what I'll do is cool it on this big table. I'll just lay it out. But then we use,
for how long?
Well, just until it's about body temperature. Basically cold enough that it won't denature the spores you add. Because then we add spores. And here's the spore store. Oh, look at that. We got like my little spore duster. We got like we got the little drug scales. We don't use them for drugs, we use them for spores. But yeah, so these are spores that I import from Higuchi Matsuun-san in northern Osaka. I use a specific type of spore that brings out a sort of general flavor in your koji, so nothing too specific, so you can use it for all of your different applications. So then once you've inoculated it, that's when you tray it up and you bring it to the incubator. And then the thing with koji is it's oh God, it's really sunny. We'll go back down. The thing with koji is it's a massively exothermic process. Now, exothermic means that during the growth phase, it kicks out a whole load of heat, lots and lots. So that means during this growth phase, at different intervals, you need to take it out of those trays and then mix it, because it can basically get so hot it kills itself. So after 12 hours, then after your 12-hour period, you mix it another 4 hours, another 4 hours, various times.
Again.
Over a 48-hour growth period, you need to keep mixing it to aerate it and to basically cool it down. Then at the end of that 48-hour period, that's it, bingo bango, you got fresh koji ready to go. Now you can just use it fresh at this point, but it doesn't keep, you know.
It doesn't last for long.
Yeah, exactly. You've got about 2 weeks in the fridge, or you can use it immediately, or you can freeze it for 6 months. So what I do to make a product that's ambient and available for sale is boom, we use dehydrators. Now I have got more, got bigger ones. You can use big sexy vacuum dehydrators, but I use those ones and I dry at ambient temperature because I think that maintains the best flavor and ability of the koji to, you know, do its work. And then once it's been dried down to roughly 6.57% moisture, which with the reason I measure moisture is the same reason that farmers would measure grain moisture, is to reduce a thing called water activity, which means no other microbes can grow in it. So it's ambient for 12 months, or I mean, as long as you want, but 12 months is what we say. So there you go. That's boom, koji making 101.
101, the basics. And you've mentioned you do like tutorials and workshops of how people can make their own koji, and I think you have one coming up pretty soon. Where is that, so that people know?
We've got a few coming up. I can't remember the dates, but they are on my website. But going to be doing one in Liverpool, one in Manchester. Going to be doing one in Edinburgh, in the lab. Oh God, this was just announced this morning. Well, not announced, right? This just happened this morning. My wonderful brother and koji guy called Jonathan Hope of Cultured London. Him and I will be doing a miso and shoyu making class in Hammersmith, somewhere in London. And it's going to be fantastic. We can do a little tasting menu as well, so come along to that. So yeah, that is the koji making side, but I suppose I should show you the fun experimental stuff, eh?
You should. Yeah, where is
right,
that?
Let's do that. I'll get you back on the little train, and we'll train around. Okay, so here is the rest of the lab. I feel like an air hostess. It's great. Okay, cool.
It looks good.
I know, it's a pretty sick lab. Okay, so what we got here? These are all my just standard ingredients. This is where the rice is kept, funnily enough. This is where more rice is kept. Then we got butter beans, salt, soybeans, all the sort of things you want to play with. Now, I suppose a word on or on rice. Now, I use a very specific type of rice. It's a selenial varietal from northern Italy called, it's an organic rice, and it's a short grain. Now, you can use it for sushi making.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I don't use Japanese or Japonica rice is, one, I want to try and minimize my supply chains as much as possible. Two, I'd have to sell my koji for like £800 per kilogram, which I'd rather not do. But basically, my whole thing is I want to keep it organic, and I want to maintain, again, my whole design approach to koji and the product I make basically, is I want it to be the most versatile product possible. Now, I want the home cooks, the chefs, the people who use the koji that I make to be able to take it and make a serviceable end product, whatever they want to do.
So you bring me to the next question almost, which is, what can I do with koji? Like, what can people do with this magic?
Fantastic question. Like a really basic one that I completely skipped over. So this sort of question is embroiled in, why did I go through that whole complex mold growing mycelial process, right? And during that growth process, essentially what the spores and the mold are trying to do is produce things called enzymes. Now, enzymes, I mean, I don't want to talk down to anyone, but I don't know who did biology at high school, but an enzyme is essentially a biological key to a lock. Now, that breaks down big molecules into smaller ones. Now, the ones in koji that were particularly interested, well, there's three. There's lipase, amylase, and protease. Lipase we're less interested in. That's basically what breaks down fats into fatty acids, which are water soluble. Great if you're making washing powder. Food, there is some interest, but less so. We're mainly interested in protease and amylase. Now, amylase is the first one I understood. That was what's related to sake making. This breaks down complex starches into sugars, which they can then be consumed by yeasts turned into alcohol. Sake makers are very interested in this. Then you have protease, which is what breaks down proteins into things called amino acids and glutamates. Now, these things work in synergy together to produce really complex umami flavor. Now, there's a wonderful book that I have through here called Umami, The Secret of the Fifth Taste. Now, what this sort of discusses is the idea that using a symphony of different amino acids and glutamates can give you complex umami notes, which is why when you just pump something full of MSG, it has, side note, MSG, not bad for you. We need to lay that down right now. This was based on one article that was written in New England by one doctor that said, maybe Chinese food is bad for you. It's massively steeped in racism. MSG is not bad. It's just simple. Anyway, it was first identified on kelp, guys. Basically, having these complex interactions means why, when you have something like a long-aged shoyu, it has really complex notes rather than it being like a simple bang, umami punching you. So that's why we've created this koji with this enzymatic capability. And those act as an engine and enable you to make miso, because it breaks down the proteins and the starches in soybeans, and it turns what tastes like a sort of dull, tasteless bean, although good soybeans still taste good, into this incredible cacophony of different flavors that you get in, you know, your aged misos. And then I suppose this is when it starts to get interesting, because I don't know if anyone's read Richard Dawkins' Selfish Gene. You know, maybe his new stuff's a bit weird, but this was back when he was just doing hard evolutionary biology. But he talks about the idea of the gene's eye view. That genetics don't give a crap if you're a lemur monkey or you're a banana. All they want to do is proliferate. Now, I've taken that idea to the sort of enzymes eye view. Now, protease and amylase, these guys don't care if they're in a soybean or if they're in a black bean or if they're a cannellini bean, if they're making shoyu, if they're making sake. They don't care. So when like that, you can say, okay, why don't we use different substrates? Why don't we use different things? Now, Jonathan Hope, as I say, he's taken this to an insane extreme. He's made misos out of stuff like Subway sandwiches. Like all that.
Wow, what was that? Sorry.
Yeah, seriously, but it proves the point that, again, enzymes don't care. They're just in the substrate to make things. And that's how you can convert really novel substrates into really interesting foods. I've got a couple of examples. Do you want to see some examples?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's bring some stuff to the class, shall we? Look at this. I can just roll along. This is fun. So over here, I've just got some kind of basic misos. This is a tasty little soybean miso. I've got some fava bean on the go as well. These miso fermenters, actually, they're a great thing. They were based on, I based the design on an old school sort of Kyoto miso fermenter, which is basically like a big tortoise. It's a big donut. And so you pack the miso in, the paste, as it ferments, and then the liquid that runs off into a big central chimney, and then you can collect it from the bottom. I thought, how can I rebuild that with modern just stuff that's lying around? So this is like a 2-tier fermenter. So it's a bucket, then it has like a false bottom that's meshed off. So the liquid from the soybeans, the soy mash, collects in the bottom, and you can tap off fresh tamari. Fresh virgin tamari. Holy shit, guys! It's quite some shots of this sometimes. It's amazing. Also, you can carbonate it and make fizzy tamari. It's mental, but yes. So that's another side note. Tamari is the runoff of miso, although you can specifically optimize for it. And if you're interested in that, I would recommend going to Sanjay, which is Virginia-based soy foods production. They make amazing stuff. Anyway, okay, cool. Let's moving on.
2 more experiments.
I've got some. Let's jump down. Woo! This is my little brew lamp down here. So over here we have Buckfast Mirin, which Buckfast is like a tonic wine that's fairly nefarious in Scotland. It's like it's pretty awful stuff. But I thought, how can we make this interesting? So mirin is generally some kind of alcohol, glutinous rice, and koji, and then thyme, and it creates, the complex flavors that you associate with mirin. But I decided to do Buckfast, and I've actually got a big old batch here. Ooh, look at that! She's called Morag. Morag the fermenter. Then we've got. I'm making old man noises. Then we have a bucket of experimental sake. Oof. Shall we give it a mix? This will be fun.
You should tell us a little bit about sake. And
I will tell you about sake. So look at this. We've got. Can you see that? Oh yeah, it's bubbling away. Yeah. So, oh god, it smells amazing.
So do you do that as an experiment, or do you just to test your own koji, or do you like to make sake? What's the story?
I like sake. I like making it, but it's a really good test. Making. Oh yeah, I'll just tell you. We'll do sake talk. So sake is made in a process called multiple parallel fermentation. Now this is how sake can get the highest natural fermentation alcohol content of any alcohol without distillation, and that's because of this interesting process where if you're making beer or wine, you basically add all your ingredients in at once. And then you allow that to ferment straight through. So you get your sugars, then that's broken down into alcohol. Now, sake is interesting because I'll show you my brew sheet. That you have like these different additions over time. So that means that you'll have your initial mash that you pitch with yeast, and then over subsidiary additions of koji and rice and water. Yeah. You're adding in more material, and you're adding in more amylase to break that material down. So you can basically increase the sugar amount and increase the fuel for yeast and increase the alcohol all at the same time, rather than the alcohol capping off and killing the yeast. So that means sake can get up to I think it's like 22%. Can get up pretty high naturally. But yeah, really interesting, and you can do really interesting things like you can manipulate the specific additions to bring out different flavors and different optimize for different esters. You can use different rices. You can do different kojis, different koji spores. Sake is fascinating. It's a whole thing. Also, stay tuned. Maybe we're looking for investment in Scotland's first sake brewery. Oh, who knows?
Why not?
Okay, what else we got? This is a vintage sauerkraut crock, which I was given by the wonderful eye-pickled Stuart. He's a nice man. Then we have where this is sort of my little shelf of weirdness. We've got Soupy Norman over here. Soupy Norman is where I put any extra ends of jars, misos, just shove them in there and make this weird amino sauce. Right, it changes flavor every week. Right
And
now
what
it's
do
kind of
you
like
do? What
it's
do you
like
do?
banana marmite.
Banana marmite.
Yeah, it's really weird. And
How
I've
can I
got
use that? Like, I have literally no idea.
to be honest, I don't really know how to use it. I just play with it. I put it on rice most of the time. So I've got tomato and black pepper hot sauce going on there. But here's the pièce de résistance, folks. We're gonna go to the cabinet of curiosities, my test fridge. This is the secret fridge. This is the secret fridge that we never show to environmental health people. This is the sneaky fridge. So this is where I keep all of my really strange stuff. So we've got, what have we got in here? This is squid garum that I made with powdered pork pancreas. That was a really weird one. Because again, that has a huge amount of protease in it. So you can break things like squid down really, really quickly. That was weird. Got the Buckfast Mirren bottled up. This stuff is incredible. Got a little shot of fresh tamari that I'll be doing later. We've got loads of different types of miso. Here's simple white miso. Here's some really overly spicy sauerkraut. Here is some mulled wine that I emboldened with some koji. We've got this stuff's incredible. This is black bean miso, which I recommend anyone does. It ends up with these like super malty savory notes. It's awesome. Then we've got I've got so much cool stuff. We've got dried apricot miso because a friend of mine, wonderful Ruth at Edinburgh Fermentarium, she was like, I'm just going to get in the shade in my fridge. She was like, Robin, I've got a bunch of old dried apricots. You want them? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I made them into a basic miso, ran them through a grinder, made this like apricot paste, which is like super complex. It's really, really good. Massively recommend anyone who makes fruit misos. It's good stuff. What else we got? We have got this is garlic shoyu koji. It's basically soy sauce, koji, and garlic. It is the secret sauce. It's so
black
nice.
Garlic or
no, I actually just used regular garlic in there. And then we've got shio koji.
Yeah.
And this is just shio koji is becoming more and more popular, but it's essentially koji, salt, and water. Yeah. Allowed to ferment for a week to 10 days, and then it's basically this just umami additive. It makes anything more complex. It's really good for marinating or tenderizing food.
I've seen a recipe recently that you can actually make pickles with shio koji, like in less than, like you make it in 2 hours essentially. You leave it for a night and then it's ready. Is that true?
Yeah, because it has such a massive enzymatic content. It will basically allow you to make pickles or Japanese sukimono really, really quickly. The speed of it is like, when I was first doing it, I almost couldn't believe it was happening. Yeah. But yeah, incredible. What else have we got? Got some
deep dive into that fridge.
I know. This was made by this was made 2.5 years ago. And basically my friends, because for the most part I'm vegetarian, but my friends were making a roast chicken and they were going to throw out the carcass. And I was like, no, we don't do that. We don't do that. So I took the carcass and I turned that into a broth that I used in some soup. I can't really remember. But then I was like, you know the weird silty stuff you get after you make a broth? I was like, I wonder what we could do with that. Mixed it with salt, mixed it with koji, left it to ferment for a very long time, and now bang, got this. It's almost like it's like the most intense chicken stock paired with a vinegar. It's fucking strange, but it's delicious. What else we got? Lime kosho, like a yuzu kosho, but with lime. Some tiny bits of miso. This is pumpkin miso and a beetroot miso, I think. They were given to me by Kenji at Kenji Cooks, absolute freaking hero. Umami chefs, Flavor Bean Miso, incredible stuff. Jackie Bailey, she's a legend. Yeah. And then we got Amazaki. Now, this goes back to, why do I just test my koji? Do I just test my koji by making sake? What I do to test koji, let's sit here. what I do to test koji actually is I make amazake. I think that's the clearest and truest test of if your koji is good or not, because it's just koji, cooked rice and water left in a rice cooker on warm for about 12 hours. And you can almost immediately tell if your koji has been well made, if the sweetness is right, if it has a depth of flavor. Basically, it's clear as day if you've been playing around with koji for a little while. If you've not made it well, the amazake doesn't turn out well. But that's actually a cross between horchata and amazake. It's pretty spicy. It's pretty amazing. And I'm making pumpkin spice, pumpkin spice. Amazake.
Yeah. And what can people do with amazake for those that are super new beginners like myself?
Yeah, okay. Well, amazake originally, look at this. Gonna stand back up. Go place. Amazake is originally it's sort of a drink you would have. It's a Japanese sweet drink that you would have kind of when you're poorly. And this actually raises another interesting point about a thing called bioavailability. Now, during the sort of enzymatic breakdown, it makes your larger macromolecules smaller, and smaller molecules are easier for you to digest. So, amazake, because it's broken down, it's really easy to digest. It was traditionally just given to sick people. If you're feeling poorly or you were old and weak, you would be given amazake. So that's how it was traditionally consumed. However, because you're basically releasing a whole amount of natural sugar, you can do loads of interesting stuff with it, because you've basically got a bank of available sugars in this really nice base. So then you can use that as the base for desserts, for butters. You can strain it out and clarify it and turn it into sodas. You can do all of these super interesting things. Yeah. You can make freaking panna cottas with it. It's awesome stuff. But really good basis for desserts. Because I think that's something people are sleeping on with their koji usage. Desserts, man. You can make incredible desserts with koji.
With amazake and the koji from the Koji Kitchen. That's wow. I don't know. I think I need to watch this live again a couple of times, and then join a couple of your tutorials to be at the state of being able to work with koji. But it's really simple to make shio koji. That's for sure.
Shio koji would be my gateway drug into koji fermentation, because you'll see how dramatically you can just improve any meal by just smacking in a little bit of shio koji. It's the secret sauce. And it's just koji, salt, water, thyme. Boom, you're done. And
I think you're using a good salt. I've seen you're using blackthorn salt quite a bit, which is like pure sea salt that we also have on Tidali, which is amazing.
Blackthorn salt is incredible. Because I went out to tour Blackthorn's facility, and we did a nice lunch and everything. It's incredible. Those misos I showed you there, they're all blackthorn salt, and I'm really excited to see how they turn out. But yeah, questions? Do you or the humans have any questions?
No, I think so. You've mentioned, obviously chefs are using quite a lot. And amazake is one of the main ingredients they use, like in desserts and things like that. What was the one of the desserts that you kind of picked up them making lately?
Amazake creme brulee.
Ooh, creme brulee.
And you can make it as simply as a really thick amazake, fridge that, and just in a sort of dish, brown sugar, blowtorch. Just do it as simply as that. I recognize that's not really proper creme brulee. Oh, sorry, and a bit of vanilla bean through the amazake as well. Literally, that's it, and it's fantastic. It is fantastic, and it's so easy. But yeah, that's probably my favorite dessert usage, although it changes all the time,
Oh,
Ask me tomorrow, it'll be different.
Yeah, that's why the experiments work really well, because you may come up with something new that you cannot imagine today. And how about, we talked about benefits throughout the last few minutes that we are together, but if you were to summarize the benefits of using kind of actually making sub-products or making foods with Koji, what would those be?
Well, I mean, one, deliciousness would be my main lead. You can pull out all these really interesting flavors. You can do lots of interesting stuff. You can do it very quickly. As you mentioned with the pickles you can make with shio koji, it's really fast. Now, I am very reticent to speak on the health benefits of any fermentation. Funny, being a fermentation professional for like 2 years, I'm very reticent to talk on the matter because I'm not a doctor, I'm not Tim Spector, I'm not a dietitian. It makes me feel good. It makes me healthy. I'm aware that Koji produces, as I say, bioavailable material, which is easier to digest, and there is some evidence that that would lead to better gut health and better health in general. However, you know what? I would always just say I would pass off to people smarter than me, like Glucose Goddess or Carolyn Gilmartin, Joe Webster. You know, humans who aren't me. I'm not taking responsibility. I leave it to tasting. I do it because it's delicious.
Exactly, it is a delicious ingredient. It does bring out all the umami flavors, and it's also something you can experiment with, especially with your kids that you have online on Tideli now. It's fantastic to get started. You also have 2 products, right? So you have a pack with Koji rice, and then you have another pack which took me a while to get my head around it. Can you talk to us about that?
Okay, so what we have is regular Koji, and let's get some out here. So this will be my standard issue Koji. Oops. And you can see it's sort of like nice fine grains. It's all sort of like it's all well covered in mycelial growth. Put that back, which is great. It's ready to go. It has a high surface area. It will make your shio koji nice and fast, whatever you're doing with it. Now, when I'm making that, what I do is, okay, during the growth process, you will get like little bits of rice that clump together, or little bits of rice that were over steamed, get a bit mashed during the process, which is fine. That's okay. Not all koji has to be beautiful, and that's all right. So what I do on the website, because there's not very much of it, and I just sell it when it's as and when it's available, but I make clumps and bits because here's the thing, guys. It's the clumps and bits. It's the broken biscuits. It's the extra bits. But you can see, and I'll show you this.
Yeah.
See, it's a bit more lumpy. It's a bit more clumped together.
Yeah.
So in practice, on sort of like on the sort of micro level, what that means is the mycelia haven't managed to penetrate as fully into those clumps. So you're getting less enzymatic power per gram. So the way I view it is this is not as premium a product as the other one. So I sell this for a bit less, but it's still completely usable. So that's the constant bit, the story of that.
Nothing goes to waste, right?
Nothing goes to waste, because why?
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, I guess you can use it if you don't want such an intense fermentation process, or
yeah, it will basically anything you use it in will go slower. Also, basically, I wouldn't recommend using that for anything delicate flavored or anything you want to work quickly. Like smashing that stuff in like a big salty miso.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah.
I wouldn't use it for something like I wouldn't use it for something like an amazaki, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh,
got it. Amazing.
That's the clumps and bits. What else we got that's fun? I've got this. This is a fun thing. I've got petri dishes. I'm doing that now.
Ooh,
so this was Koji I started growing last month, and I kind of just thought, how long can I leave this and see how far its life cycle goes? And it's kind of just turned into a solid block of petri dish at the moment. And it's got this sort of beautiful, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
These beautiful mycelial hairs at the top. But I'm just, this is just a fun experiment for me, because this is the sort of thing I do for fun. I want to see how long this will just be able to perpetuate on the initial Koji rice medium that it was growing on. But there you go. That's
Ooh, exciting, exciting, Robin. Your entire kingdom of fermentation is it's a wonderful world. I don't wonder now how you spend your days. Like you're probably like to do all of this. How much time do you spend outside of the lab?
Not very much. Well, I obviously I get to travel a lot and do classes, but how much time do I spend not doing Koji stuff? Not much. I'm going to a ceilidh tonight, actually, traditional Scottish dance.
Amazing! Oh wow!
But I'm finishing that, and then coming back to the lab to finish up a batch of Koji.
It's a wonderful to see what's going on behind the scenes. Wonderful to hear what you can make with Koji, from miso to vegetable and fruit miso, which a lot of us didn't know, and all the wonderful experiments that I'll spend time going through after we finish the live again and again. We will post this video for everyone to know. We will post this video so you will be able as well to go through everything that Robin has said. Just before we wrap up, what are the plans for you and for the Koji Kitchen, like moving forward?
Right. Well, okay. What can I talk about that isn't super sneaky? There's a few things I've got lined up, a few collaborations I've got lined up. They're very exciting, TBD. Stuff I can openly talk about is heritage variety bean and heritage variety grain misos. This is something I'm really keen on. For example, there's a type of miso, mugi miso, pronunciation question mark, which is a barley miso. Now, Scotland has a very interesting Orcadian variety of barley called bear barley, and you know it's one of these rare breed crops that I think is very important that we maintain for, you know, biodiversity and cultural heritage, really. Yep. So I want to make miso that's purely based on Scottish grown grain, and then work with the Hodmedod products and make misos from them. But yeah, basically interesting heritage variety misos. That's where we're aiming toward.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. Sounds exciting. And we're all up for maintaining heritage and heritage grains as much as possible. It has been such a pleasure meeting you, Robin. We're so excited to be able to see behind the scenes. We're so excited to have your products online on todeli.com, and we're looking forward to perhaps, you know, pump into each other again, do perhaps a workshop or a course together. But people, for whoever listens, if you want to join courses and learn more about how to make your own Koji or how to make products with Koji, foods with Koji, then check out the website that Robin has as well to see the upcoming workshops and master classes and so on. And check todeli.com to buy Koji yourself and try some experiments at home. Yay!
Do all those things. Get Koji in your life. Get weird. You know, embrace it.
It's wonderful.
You too could be like this.
It has been fantastic to chat to you. Thank you, Robin. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye now. Bye.